I have sort of a dream that by the time you guys are done with this building, you could end up with a sheet like that in your portfolio. So you can say, oh, we were working on a Mies building, so I built this Revit model of it. I mean, that seems to me like, just cool. One thing that this particular exercise will bring up, maybe more than anything else we've done so far, is we're really going to have to be dealing with dimensions. We have to really be thinking about this, not just as something we're guessing at, but as something we're being very specific about. So that when the time comes to change it, like, oh, our floors need to be 4 inches higher, it's not 3 9/16 or something. It's like 4 inches. So we know what we're dealing with. So I'll be doing some sketching on the board. If we can't see that, I'll turn the lights back on. We've got a couple things to do. We're great in plan. We got that grid locked in. What we need to be working on today is what's happening in elevation and in section, just so we get those floor heights correct, the ceiling heights correct, or at least close, because we actually don't have the drawings, and I didn't measure how high the ceilings were in there on any floor, let alone all of them. So we're going to get rid of the exterior walls and redo them, fix the columns, work on that downstairs glass wall, which right now is just a solid wall. We're going to turn that into a storefront wall and get its mullions set on 7-inch centers appropriately. We're going to get level 2 the right height, levels 3, 4, 5, and 6 at appropriate heights, put the walls on level 2, extend them up to the roof. Then we'll put ceilings in. We know the main one for the first floor is 15 foot 8 inches, that tiny tile ceiling for the first floor. And the other ones for the upstairs are just lay in 2 by 2 foot acoustic ceiling tile, which we'll get close with. And then finally, we'll be putting the storefront windows, a section of them in here, and copying them up just with copy aligned to selected levels. So most of the stuff we only have to do like once, and then we can just match properties or copy and create the rest of it. So it's really it's pretty friendly building that way, very regular. Did you see the projects that the students, I guess the juniors last year did at Bernheim Forest? Well, that was a very idiosyncratic building, and it took people a month to model the building. And that's just wrong for an interior design project as far as I'm concerned. Let's just see what needs to be done. Everybody here and ready to roll? I'm just going to work down through these pretty much in order. I didn't number them or anything. These exterior walls are just wrong, and we can just get rid of them, all 4 of them. So delete, 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 delete. The 4 tall ones that went around the outside. So we'll be back at just floors. Who still needs a floor? Okay, enough to make that worthwhile. So I'm gonna get rid of these guys too. Let me get rid of these guys. I could play that on YouTube right now. Okay, so we're sort of like this. Okay, got to rewind a little bit. Let's bring in that PDF. So let's get on level 1. The PDF is like about this big. So we need to bring it in, scale it up the same size as our floor plan, and then move it into place. So that's going to be with insert, import PDF. Again, I want to import the files so they're part of the model rather than linking them where we're looking at an exterior file each time. It might be in your downloads folder, or if you made one as suggested, it'll be here. Yeah, we'll go to open. So I'm going to go to 600 this time just to see how that works. And then stick it well away from the building so we can messing with our geometry. And then I'm just going to make it kind of about the right size. But then we're going to adjust the size so it's right on the button. I'll try to simplify that a little bit. What I'm going to do is draw a line right from the center of this grid intersection over to that grid intersection. Go to annotate. A detail line is fine. And we want to start it right where these guys intersect. Click. And then come straight over to as close as you can get to where these 2 guys intersect. It's not perfect, as you can see, it's a little off, but right down the middle of this vertical one would, I guess, be the smart way to do that. Okay, so now we have a line. If I click on that in properties, we see that's 93 feet 11. We're going to scale that up to 126 along with the PDF, which will make the PDF be 126 feet, 42 times 3. So to do that, we're going to do something that you can do with 2D objects that you can't do with 3D objects, which is to use the scale tool. So when I select both of these together, it's the scale, RE for resize is the abbreviation. So what we want to do is scale this up so that the line goes from whatever it is, 93 feet, to 126 and takes the building with it. So we're going to window these guys. Now I'm going to, with those two things selected, the line and the PDF, I'm going to scale them. And if I knew I had to increase the scale by 125%, I could click on numerical and just type that. But this is sort of random. This might just be 93 and 27/16 inches or something weird. So we're just going to go to graphical, which is what I almost always use for this. And we're basically going to say, we're going to click here and then say, make that 126 feet. So down here at the very bottom left, it says click to enter origin down there. So that's our origin. It's going to scale around that point. Here's our second point. And we're just changing that to 126. And that's all you have to do. And as Rella mentioned, we need to rotate this because we're treating this as the south side of the building, the Main Street facade, where you enter, the elevator banks going this way with the hall going straight through the building. And this one's turned sideways for that. So before I place this, I want to rotate it 90 degrees. So again, we'll window both of those two guys, and we want both of them, and then rotate. So we can just click any old place and drag around till it clicks into 90 degrees. And the reason we're not seeing the doors here, this is like a second or third floor plan. It's not the ground floor plan. What it does share with them, the ground floor plans, are the columns and these center cores. Okay, now, when we dropped that AutoCAD drawing in, it was just origin to origin. It knew where it was supposed to go. We don't have an origin for this guy. This is just, pixels. What we do now have, however, is this point right here, which we can use to move from right here over to the corresponding point in the plan. So I'm going to window both of these again, PDF and line, and use the move tool, MV. You'll see that flash up across the screen sometimes. And we're going to pick the endpoint of that line. It's the only thing up there, the red square to say endpoint from there. So I move both of those together over to this intersection. Right now, this is the center of each of those two little lines. It's the intersection of the whatever, but you get the point right there that highlights. And we can zoom out and we can see that that's right exactly in position there. Everybody rotated and in place and good? Okay, so let's pick it and pin it, just so we don't slide it out of place. It's easy to mess with. And furthermore, I'm just going to, it's such a pain to have it keep being selected when I'm drawing in here that I'm going to go over here to my, down here and say, don't select pinned elements for a while. So if I'm clicking in here, I'm not going to be picking the PDF, which is sort of the first thing that gets picked when you just click an empty space. We're doing the cores here. Okay. So you see that the inner columns, lined right up, where they're supposed to be. We're in good shape. What I want to do now is not address toilets and elevators and that kind of stuff. I just want to think of these two rectangles. There's these big shafts that go from the basement level all the way up to the roof. I don't know if they go up to the penthouse level. We can see we can move them, but we'll take them up at least to the main roof of the building. So for that, if you remember when we drew this, it ended up being easier just to pick the wall tool and pick a rectangle and just draw a big rectangle. So we're going to do the same thing for these guys. And eventually we'll come back and justify these to be 7 feet in from the grid lines. We'll see how this works. So here's this. We're going to architecture wall, WA. All these cores go up with 8-inch generic cinder block walls. And I'm going to keep this center justified. Going to be drawing with the wall center line. So when we end up offsetting it from a grid line, we can go from center to center easily. So right now, I'm just going to pick this up here. close as I can get to sort of where these two walls come together. Don't be too concerned about it. Oh, I'm drawing a rectangle. That's right. Not just a line, but a rectangle. And come down and get close here. Yeah, it's gonna be just like that first one. We're going to draw it pretty close, and then we'll put the dimensions on and get it just right. And then we'll do the same thing over here. And I know that there's, granite veneer and stuff. This is the structural part. I don't have a measurement for these guys. I don't know where these two walls are. Maybe they're 7 feet apart. We'll see. At this point, we're done with the PDF. I want to keep it in the drawing, but I don't need to see it. It's just sort of in the way. So I can't, going back and forth between picking and not picking, I can't select it to turn it off. So I'll go back to do select pinned elements, check that, and then I can come and pick the PDF, right click, hide in view element. Well, let's do these top two. Let's locate them. We'll put a dimension across here from center to center, center to center. Well, that was pretty good. And you can see what we have to do here. Just as before, you pick the wall, pick the dimension, make it 7 feet. Pick the wall, pick the dimension, make it 7 feet. Where did I get the 7 feet? The whole building's on a 7-foot centerline module. So I didn't go measure that. That's just what became clear from reading and from talking with Nana and like that. That's just what it is. So I'm doing a dimension. Putting up a dimension from this grid line to this center line. And then from this grid line to this center line. Sorry, DI for dimension. We'll do it all the way around. And we can do it here as well if you like. Actually, let me get them all in there. As long as we're at it, let's do from out here to there, which is 35 feet too, and it should be 35 feet even. We drew them all differently. But these are the 6 walls that I know where they're supposed to be. Remember, to move something, which is what I want to do with this, you don't pick the dimension, you pick the object you want to move. You pick the object, and then the dimension turns blue and becomes a control. You pick that, hit 7, and enter. And we don't know this. We don't know what that is. I'll tell you, while we're here, why don't we just decide what these are going to be? So from here to here, and from here to here. Let's make them both 5 feet. Oh, you don't have a grid line on the middle. Oh, we missed that part. It's easy to do. If you remember, that was one of the steps you missed. We would like to create these lines. Let me see if I can get rid of them. Yeah. And I want them to cross right at that 0, 0 intersection, which if you recall, if we go into reveal hidden elements, we can see that origin point and can click to it. That's like the center of the world that we lined the AutoCAD drawing up with. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sort of zoom in a little bit. And these are 2 different things, but right now they share a common point. That's the only point we can pick. So we don't have to worry about like little ends of arrows or anything. So I want these to be reference planes because I want to see them all the way up through the building, not just a line on the floor here, but all the way up through. So we'll go to reference plane. And we can snap in there. It's snapping to something a little hard to tell. Oh, it says point object, something like that. Anyway, it's in there. and pull this out, maybe past that little elevation mark, just so we really can see where it is. And then I'll go back in and grab its endpoint and pull it out to the other side. Okay, and then do the same thing vertically. RP snaps to something or other in there. It's a little fussy getting, picking the ends up, but here these are. Okay, so with those two drawn, we can hide those site elements. I want to pick these two guys and pin them. I don't want that stuff moving around. So now, just as long as still locating walls, yeah, let's dimension from here to here. Oh dear, I'm going to give these two little separate dimensions so we can control them. Yeah, let's make them both 5 feet. Center to center, yeah. And who knows what it really is. So I think that's good. The line that we used to scale things over here, we don't need that anymore. This guy, if you have it there, we can get rid of that. Let's do pin all of our grid lines, which we can do by, instead of picking all, we can click on one, right click, select all instances in entire project. So all of our grid lines, we can pin at one time and pin. And the columns can only move with the grid lines, so I think we can leave them like that for the time being. Let me just look online and see what I got. I hope I have 23 feet is what I hope. Oh, look at this. I caught the same bug. I mean, these should be the same, but they're like half an inch difference. How does that happen? Maybe I made a mistake in aligning the model, the AutoCAD model with its 0 point. Anyway, here's what we discovered. Here's what Camille discovered. Eagle Eye Moppins found an error in, I have to take credit for this because they're not lined up the way that I said they're going to be lined up. But here's how we fix it. You'll notice if you dimension from grid line 2 to our ostensible center line to grid line 3, they're not the same distance. Okay, so that center line's in the wrong place. So to fix it, we pick that grid line, unpin it, the reference plane, unpin it, and then to put it right in the middle between columns 2 and 3, we can select that dimension and hit the equal mark, which makes them, each 21 feet, which we can tell by clicking the equal mark again, which tells us where it's actually been moved to. And then we can pin that again, pin it, and we can set these all, move these walls so they're all 5 feet. From the new location, and then these will all be correct. A change I need to make in the columns, well, to make them work correctly with the walls, we need to do one thing for the columns. Select a column and go to Edit Family, any column, and we see this one thing called automatically joins geometry, like if there's a wall that comes into it or beside it. We want to uncheck that. We want our columns to read not merging with the walls. So we uncheck this guy right here. That's all. That's all we're going to do. We're not going to save this to disk. Okay, we're just going to load it into the project and let go of it. So we just say a load into project and close, which is fine. We don't need to come back to it. We don't want to save the changes to the disk. We don't want to save the changes out to our hard drive. We're not making a change to Revit's basic column. We've got a specific need for it here. where we will be changing how it operates in our drawing, but nowhere else. So we pick this bottom one, overwrite the existing version, any parameters with that. And I'll show you why that's important once we get up to the second floor. Okay, but before we go up to the second floor, I would like to get these guys looking more like the storefront walls. So we're just going to switch these out. Let's select them all at one time. Just hover over one, hit tab and click. So we got all four of those guys. And we're just going to change them from our basic 5-inch generic wall to click and drag down to storefront. These walls go from the plaza up to that first tile ceiling, which is 15 feet 8. So we're not going to tie them into the second floor because we don't know where that is yet, but we do know how high they go. So if we hover, tab, click, then we can say they go from level 1, not attached to anything at the top, but they just go 15 feet 8. That's how high they are. 15 feet 8. That's what we measured. They're all the same type. They're like 5-foot panels or something or other. The ones that are actually down there are much bigger. They're like on a 14-foot module. 3 of them in each 42-foot bay. So if we pick this over in edit type is where we tell it how far apart these guys should be. We're going to have several different kinds of storefront systems here. We'll have one here, and one uses the windows going up the side of the building, and another for the back of the penthouse. So I want to edit type and save this with a name that we know it only applies to these guys down here. Pick it, edit type. I'm going to duplicate it to make a whole new one and call this first floor or level 1. Level 1 storefront is fine. Or level 1 exterior storefront, because it might be different inside. So very, very clear what's going on there. Level 1 exterior storefront, okay. And right now we'll leave the horizontal grid here 8 feet high. The vertical grid here is 14 feet. The vertical grid are these vertical guys, 14 feet, yeah. Put the foot mark in, and we'll say fixed distance. We don't want that stuff adjusting back and forth. We want them always to be 14 feet wide. And that's all we do here. We say apply, okay, and okay. And now we need to use the match properties tool to make these other 3 be the same as this one. So I'm just going to use the match properties tool over here, or just type MA. You pick the one that is correct, and then pick the ones that need to be updated. MA first. MA, then the source, and then the targets. I'll deal with the actual alignments of those and their corner conditions and doors some other time. Let's take these guys up to the roof if you haven't already. So you have to escape to let go of match properties. So I'm just going to use hover, tab, click to take these guys up to the roof. And then hover, tab, click to take those guys up to the roof. Okay, let's get a floor on here. So the way you get one, let's get into like an east elevation. Just use control drag to drag level 1 up and turn into a level 2. And then we're going to set its height to be 19 foot 8. And I've given you numbers here eventually that we'll use to determine this stuff. And then copy them up so we get, what we're going to do is, the easiest way here is, instead of trying to add numbers in our heads, is just use the dimensioning tools. So that's at 19.8. I would like the rest of them to be at 14 feet centers. So if you put a dimension string up here, instead of having to add 14 feet to 19.8, we can just pick level 3, and here's our height and type 14. Here's level 4, 14. Here's level 5, 14. And then roof is, I'm going to make, that's higher than the others. It's got extra, let's make this 16, yeah, 16 feet. So the roof was close at 75. It was a good guess. I've got it on here of 14 feet for all of them, and then the roof at 16 feet. This is the big roof. There's another roof on top of that for the penthouse. So let's copy this up 16 feet. Okay, let me fix it, and then I'll. And since we have two roofs, this one up, the one I just made, I've got a regular roof at 77.8. Let's just call this penthouse roof or P roof or something. Well, there's the big grassy roof, and then there's another one up on top of that for the penthouse. It's the 19.8. Let's get this all lined up. The 19.8, 3/14s, and 2/16s. 19.8 to the floor, 15.8 to the top of these guys, but there's structure and stuff in here. These might not be exactly right, but if they end up being 4 inches more or 4 inches less, we'll be able to just move the level up and down and everything will go with it. It's pretty slick. Now that we've got our levels in, I would like to put the floors in. Now that you have the levels, you've created the levels, not all levels need a floor plan. You might have a level that's just for a parapet or for tops of the air conditioner or something, just a datum that you can use. So to actually create a plan that's going to show up over here, an actual view, we go to the view, plan views, floor plan, where then you can create floor plan views over here for the layers that are here that you haven't been made yet. So I'm going to pick all those right now, 3, 4, and 5. I'm not going to do the penthouse roof at this point. We can come back to that later on. Okay, and you'll see them pop up right there, 3, 4, and 5. Bing, bing, bing. And we create the ceiling plans the same way. And yeah, eventually there would be a penthouse roof plan to show where the plantings go and the air conditioning vents and that kind of stuff. I don't know what the structure of the penthouse is. They probably do. Yeah, I think the middle ones, the middle 4 come up. We need to make our second floor, and then we'll copy that up. So please get on level 2, and we'll go to architecture floor. Pick floor architectural here. I mean, structure architectural, who knows? And we'll just use this 4-inch concrete slab. It's a thin, what we saw looking up through the ceiling there with the ladder. It's a thin slab, and it'll be a rectangle. Just going from this corner down to this corner. And if you remember, our walls are 24 inches wide there, so they'll come right out to this and meet it. We won't have a gap. Inside corner of the column. And we've got holes in these because we've got shafts. These all come right up on through. So I'm going to continue drawing 2 interior shapes around our handy dandy shafts there. Outer, yeah. And that way these walls will just come right up through. And so something else happens here in the bathrooms, and I'm not going to worry about it right now. And then say, okay. So there you can see where we do have a concrete floor and where we don't have concrete floor. So what we should have here, let's look at it in 3D. In 3D, we should have something like this. If you haven't yet, go back to your first floor plan and extend all these guys up to the roof. These 8 walls, the walls of the shaft, we want to go all the way up to the roof. That's for all that heating and ductwork. And yeah, I would hover tab, click, and say they start at level 1 and go up to the roof. Yeah, we had done this together. We could just copy these up in elevation view, but let's say that this is a skyscraper and there's 80 floors. We don't want to have to go copy, copy, copy in 19'8" or 13'6" or whatever. So what we do is this one's on the second floor. We select it. You're gonna love this. Go to copy over here, copy to clipboard. And then this is a, Windows can't do it, but Revit can. Paste align to selected levels. And then say, I want that to go up to level 3, control click 4, control click 5, and the roof. Okay. Control click, yeah. Or you can do them one at a time, but you might as well just do the whole building. And then I'm going to just leave all the Penthouse stuff for later because I don't have a handle on it. Probably the columns come up to the Penthouse roof and hold it up, but who knows? They're in alphabetical order, not in height order. You just have to pick them by name. They could have any kind of names. I want to explain what's going on these outside walls. We've got our 15 feet 8 up to the ceiling, and the wall starts right level with them, the bottom of this metal panel wall, and it goes up 4'6" and then comes down 6 inches to the floor. There's just that little lip of a heater airstrip. So when we start putting this wall in, we'll be on the level 2 floor, but we're going to have to start the wall 4 feet down from there. It starts at the bottom of the ceiling when we put it in, and then goes up 4'6" and then continues on up. So we'll just see how this flies. We will make this wall actually go all the way up to the roof, and then when we insert the storefront window systems, they will punch holes in the wall. So level 2, I think we have the 2 foot wide walls, wall, architectural, 24-inch generic wall. We start down here at the bottom. I had you before running the wall all the way across. The problem is that just visually smeared the wall and the columns together, and they're not. They're clearly just, the columns, you can see them going all the way up as separate pieces, and the walls butt into them. And I want to be able to express that. So part of that was, remember when we edited the family of the column, we said don't join with things. So this will understand these are separate entities right now. So if I go to wall, architectural, and I'll pick my 24-inch generic wall. We're going along the center line on level 2. Base constraint, what we're referencing it is level 2, but we're going down 4 feet, minus 4 feet. In the base offset, so normally the wall is here, but we're saying nope, gotta start down here because we're coming out even with that ceiling. And the top, we can run the top. We can run this wall all the way up, so we can take this all the way up to the roof. The difference from last time is that we're not going to run this right all the way through the columns. We're going to run it along the center line from one column to the next column. And the column knows don't join, so it won't join. So that the columns don't get swallowed up by the wall. If you want to look at the drawing back there, you can see how they continue up. They're expressed vertically from floor all the way up to the roof. So from side of column to inside of column to inside of column. Well, like I mean, the inside, whatever this is. So this is what we want to see, where they're flushed with each other, but in between. Okay, back to level 2. We'll see how this works out with the windows and stuff, but yeah, let's get them all the way around so we understand what we're dealing with here. We just go right around. we might have to add a little extra pressure to tell the wall to stop there. So if you pick the wall, and you can see its endpoints are right here. This was sort of dragged in there. If dragging it back doesn't work, which it didn't, okay, hang on. Select the wall. It's two control points. There's one here and one here. Right-click the one that's not behaving well, and say, right-click and disallow join. Disallow join, and then if you drag it back, it'll stay put. So this looked like a bunch of mine did this. So basically, what you want to have happen is that the blue dot for each one just lies on the side of the column instead of in the middle of it. Well, that, or if you pick it here, you can see that the dot is inside the column, the dot for the end point of the wall. I'm doing it this way just to know that there's no overlap going on. Anytime I see a problem, I'm using this right click and disallow join and dragging it down so my control point is right here on the. All these should be drawn between the columns, between columns. Override, oh, sorry, no, disallow join. It seems like at the corners is where they do that most. Yeah, all the corners seem to mess up. So this is how we want it to end up, so that we have columns are one thing and the panels are sitting in between them. I hope we're going to like this last little bit, which is putting the windows in. Everybody's pretty much here. Just say, okay, so let's go back to level 2. And what I want to do here is insert a storefront window, just the plain one. We'll see where we might have to edit it later on. Again, from inside of column face to inside of column face. Do one and make sure I got the dimensions right, and then we'll take it from there. Wall. And we'll use just this one, which we'll modify later on. And this one is going to start 6 inches above the floor of level 2. And it's going to go up, let's just say it's going to go up 10 feet, and we'll see how that looks. See again? It's plus, it starts off the floor. And I think 10 is, those windows were 10 feet high, were they? Let's say 8 feet and see what we get. So I'm starting 6 inches off the floor, and I'm going up from there. I'm going up 8 feet. No, let's be more specific about it. Let's say then from level 2, I'm going to go up 8 feet. So I actually have an 8 foot, so 7 foot 6 inch. Just let me see how this works before we do it. Okay, so I'm going to go from here to here. See what it looks like. Okay, so there's that. That's real close. I don't know how it's going to work out with the floors yet, but let me just put the ones in for the 3rd floor. Let's go into a section view. View section right through here. Yeah, this is gonna have to be taller if this is really up here. So here's our, this is that 15'8" that we know about. The wall comes right to the bottom of that, right out exactly there. It sticks up like 6 or 8 inches. I'm calling it 6, and there's like a little vent thing right here. Why can't I hit that? To there is 4'6", and that was the height that I found in a in an interview when they were talking about having to replace them. Let's just do this. Okay. So that's good. Let's turn on there. That's better. So essentially, we want this same configuration here of the window being 6 inches above the floor, up on the third floor. That just keeps on going up. And I know we don't have this. The ceiling comes right almost to these guys. So I'm going to change this to be 10 feet. And that looks better because remember when Keith measured up in there, it was about 2 feet. It was about 2 feet from here. We'll see. Maybe it's even higher. Well, and maybe these floor levels aren't right. So I don't know, but I can't think they were 11 feet high. Maybe this is too high. I mean, did anybody have pictures from inside there? Let's say it's 10. I'm sorry. I'm going to move this down a foot. You know what's frustrating is there's nowhere in the building I can actually measure a floor-to-floor distance because the stairwells, they're divided. There's a wall in the middle of the stairwell, so you can never never get to a landing and then straight down to another landing. I think this looks about right. So what I want to do is copy this, paste it, align to a selected level. Let's take out the number 3. And this also wants to be 4'6", which it doesn't look like it is. So we have to do a little tab. Well, maybe that should have gone back up. Okay, well there's a DI. Sorry for this. So that's about right. I'm confident about is the 4'6". The rest of it is sort of jumping around on me, but that looks like a 9'6" window and about 2 feet in here for our structure and our ceiling. Yeah, I'll do another one over. I'll just do it in the next bay over. Here I am. I'm on level 2. And let me pick this guy. And this guy is going from 6 inches off the ground to 10 feet off the ground. That's fair enough. Okay, so I want to do the same thing right here. So architecture, wall. I'm sorry, yeah, curtains. I'm using the storefront, and we need to make it so the mullions are 7 feet apart, but we'll wait on that. And I'm going from right here. I'm going from that right there to right here. I'm not, going into the column or anything. So that's that. No, and I didn't set it high enough, but it's 9'6". Oh, top offset 10 feet, sorry. Yeah. Okay, let's come take a look. So we're going 6 inches off the floor up to 10 feet high. And the total height of the thing is 9'6", but the top of it's at 10. Well, I would recommend doing them this way because they'll be easy to copy up to the other floors. Well, I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to copy it from here all the way around. And then just use copy to selected levels to go right on up the building. Well, actually, I'm going to do two sides and mirror them, and then grab them all and do the selected levels. We can do it all in the floor plan view. Let's get to level 2. And since these are all the same, I should just be able to copy this. I mean, it looked good to me. So I can use copy from here up to here. Yeah, let me do it quickly. Okay, so I've got them across along this side and along this side. So here's where the center lines are going to start helping. I'm going to pick this one, control pick this one, control pick this one. And I see down here I've got 3 things picked. It's a little hard to see if they're highlighted, but this down here tells you how many things you've picked. And then I'll use the mirror pick axis and make sure I have copy checked. And then I can pick this axis and over they go. Let me go back to the floor plan. Let me do mine quickly so I can mirror. So here I have my on my right side. I don't have them on my right side yet. Just a second. Oh, I don't. You're right. Mirror. Okay, so there's that. So here here are all these guys on level 2. And I want to copy them up to levels 3, 4, and 5, our other floors. Right now, these are the only ones of their type. So instead of going pick, 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 or whatever, I can select them at one of them in any view, right click, select all instances. What? Oh, I see. Thank you. I was selecting on the mullion. Select. Here's something to show you all. When there are multiple parts of each of these storefront windows, and you can pick individual mullions, top or bottom, but it's when you get this dashed heavy blue line all the way around that you've actually selected the whole window, one end to the other, top to bottom. So I'm selecting that, right click, select all instances in the whole project, and that's the ones of this type. Remember, these are a different type down here with a different mullion size. Select all instances in the entire project. So I've selected them. Now I'm going to copy them. They're copied. And I go paste to aligned levels. So those are on 2. I'm going to go to 3 and 4 and 5. It takes a minute. Oh, and it copied them down to level 1 as well, which is wrong. Mine shouldn't have, but it did. Oh, it's because like level 1 is just automatically selected. It automatically clicked. Okay. Okay. Save your files. I think we got everything except the ceilings.